الحمد لله الحمد كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. I have my brother here, Abu Hafsa, Hafidahullah Ta'ala. Today, Binillah Ta'ala, we're going to interview our brother about the importance of da'wah. And as we know that the method of da'wah requires qualified and well-trained professionals with sufficient understanding of both the Sharia and the contemporary affairs of the Muslims. What do you say about that, Abu Hafsa?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, rahmatullah.
Dawah Dynamics. You need to follow him on Twitter and get behind it because inshallah, brother's been working really hard. It needs to be that way. I mean, when we say a working knowledge of it or a vast knowledge of it, doesn't necessarily have to be a lot. بلغني عني فلو آية. But it should be something. You should have the basics of Aqidah, basically, anyway, when it comes to dealing with the people and talking to them. At the same time, you should have the ability to say something that, if you don't know something, say, I don't know. Very easy to just, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I don't have an answer for that. You need to go ask somebody else. But there should be basics in terms of because how are you calling to something that you haven't been called to yourself? Right? So if you don't know the real meaning of La ilaha illallah, that there's nothing worthy of worship other than Allah, not no God but God. That's an obnoxious and very old, very general definition of things. I think it needs to be less watery than that. You know what I mean? You know that when we hear all the time that La ilaha illallah means no God but God. No, it doesn't. It means that there's nothing worthy of worship beside all of the gods that the people worship. Whether they be statues, whether they be ideologies, whether they be methodologies, whether they be people, trees, sticks, stones, dead bones, whatever it is, none of those things are worthy of worship except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is his right name. So introduce him as such. If someone told me that when I wasn't a Muslim, that it's only, we all worship the same God, then okay, why would I become Muslim then? Why? I could just worship the same God as I've been worshiping for 21 years of my life. But when they introduced Allah to me, and I knew basically what that name meant, that the name doesn't imply gender, that Allah is not like his creation, he is complete in his perfection, unique in his oneness, I fell in love with that. I fell in love with that concept, and I fell in love with him Jalla wa Ala in that way. So this is something that was important to me as a brand new Muslim. This is one of the things. There are many other things too, but this is just one of them, that you should have that understanding of who are you calling the people to. Are you inviting the people to Islam? Are you inviting them to the worship of Allah? Because if you're inviting them to the worship of Allah, then that encompasses Islam. If you're just inviting them to the Islam that your parents had, or the Islam that your culture says, or the Islam that your grandparents had, or if you're inviting them just because you want to get married, so they say some magic words to marry you, that's a lot different than inviting them to the worship of Allah. MashaAllah.
I have a lot of questions, Sheikh, so we're trying to do a little bit more rapid fire.
We'll try. I'm a speaker, that's the problem.
We're trying to do a little bit more rapid fire here.
I need to work on being a listener.
Because all these questions are really good, and if you could kind of summarize it.
We'll try.
Okay, how long have you been actually giving dawah for?
About 22 years. Not 22 years, since 98, 20 years. I took Shahada in 96. And I would listen and learn. I guess I was always kind of giving dawah ever since, in the small way that I could, to my friends and people around me and stuff. But so I guess you could say from the beginning, I mean, if you want to say it that way. As a speaker, since for about 98.
Okay, so where have you went for dawah?
We started in Halifax, Nova Scotia. That's where I took my Shahada in Toronto, but I lived in Halifax. I worked here.
Where's Halifax?
Halifax is in the eastern part of Canada. If you want to say northeastern, you could. Not as north as you think, but it's more east than north anyway.
Okay.
Close to the Atlantic Ocean, right on the Atlantic Ocean. Actually, we have a harbor that goes into the Atlantic Ocean, so it's. I love it there. It's my home, but
So you mentioned Halifax and Toronto. Where else have you been?
Started in Halifax, came to Toronto. I went to Australia several times with the IDCA brothers. 3 or 4 or 5 times there with them, with, of course, various organizations in the UK. IERA being one of them, repeatedly. There's another Muslim youth network that I went with as well. Isa Khan, Zallah Khair, and his wife, they're doing some really cool things over there. The organization's name skips my memory at the moment, but I know Isa and his dad and his wife. So if you're watching this, Jazakumullah khairan, I've been there with them. Fosis brought me again to England, Ireland, and Scotland. Guide us TV throughout the United States. Now, of course, more often than not, I'm running with Islam by Touch. And then we've been to the States again, and I'm with you, Sheikh. We're running. You're doing the Dawah Dynamics.
Didn't you go down south somewhere?
Oh, and then Guyana too. Guyana was cool. I did South America twice with the brothers from Talimul Islam. They arranged something, and we went there and did that.
But didn't you? I thought you went to Turkey or somewhere too.
Yeah, I went to Turkey with IBQS, International Braille Quran Society. Or IQB, something like that.
So you've been, mashallah, all around the world.
Yeah.
Sheikh, here's a little tough question. What is it that makes, mashallah, tabarakallah, your dawah palatable to the ear of most of the Westerners? What do you think it is?
You know what? I'm gonna give the answer and say that I don't know, because I said that I should say that. Allah has opened ways for me that He didn't open for other people, and He opened ways for them that He didn't open for me. I didn't want to be a speaker. Like, I didn't become Muslim to go, okay, I want to be a speaker and travel all over I didn't do that. I just wanted to become Muslim. I wanted to learn how to pray my salat. My actual goal was to wrestle.
Okay.
And those who know that, who saw my story, I'm the very first blind person to be accepted into professional wrestling school. So that was kind of my aim and objective. I also had a radio objective too, as a side career. So I didn't want to be a speaker. Speaking Islamic things, I'm watching, I grew up as a Muslim, listening to, people like Dr. Jamal Badawi and Suraj Wahaj and people like that. May Allah protect them and guide us all and bless them. It looked really hard, to be in front of all these people and saying all these stuff and doing all these things. It looked really hard to me. I was like, I could never do that.
Okay.
And then here we are. I mean, they know more than me and have much more experience than me. But what may make it palatable, and I'm guessing, because after Allah opens doors for you, I don't preach to people. I tend to not preach to people. I'm not convincing you of anything. I like to convey a message, and that's it. If you accept that message, fine. If not, then fine. We're still going to be cool. If we're friends, we'll still be friends afterwards. It's not about me making you think the way I think, And I'm confident with Islam to be like that. And it's like, well, I can coexist with anybody pretty much. So I try not to have a preachy, you gotta do this or you'll be in the hell. Yeah, I don't go in like that. I talk to people as normal as I can.
Okay, these questions are going to heat up here a little bit. Right. Who are your 3 favorite da'is that you have learned from over the years?
Very good question. Farid Abdullah comes to mind, and we've never met. So Farid Abdullah is probably my favorite speaker at the moment. Those of you who don't know him, he was in South Central Los Angeles at one point. Watts, I believe, isn't it? Is it Watts? Somewhere Crenshaw area. Yeah. I think he's in Bahamas now. But if he does watch this, Allah khair. Anyone who wants to tell him that could do so.
So Farid,
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X
started the whole thing. Rahmatullah alayh. And probably early on, anyway, Imam Siraj.
Okay.
I would say there's others. There's you. There's Ibrahim Downey. There's others. You said 3 though.
Okay.
And Imam Siraj, when I came into Islam, he actually kept me with the permission of Allah in Islam, because when you're listening to people saying things over your head and you're not really relating to them as much as you probably should, you're from a different culture, from a different country. It takes a lot to kind of sit and absorb all that, because now you're like, okay, did they want me to be Muslim or did they want me to be Arab? Did they want me to be Muslim or do they want me to be Pakistani? And I'm like, I want to be Muslim. So any other cultures, may be good. Akramakumullah.
Bun that.
But we take from good and bun bad, inshallah.
Next question. What's your favorite thing about dawah?
You know what?
We're doing rapid fire.
This is gonna be. I was in Talimul Islam here in Toronto a few weeks ago when a brother came to me and he said he just came out of jail. I'm not gonna mention his name. I'm not gonna mention it, but he just came out of doing a 4-year stretch. He was doing big man things, He did big man crime and did big man time. So he came to me and he said, Hafsa, when I heard your khutbah, before that, I was ready to go and maybe do some things I shouldn't do. But I heard your khutbah and it struck something in my heart. And I couldn't do it. That's what I like about that. Or when a sister comes and says, I memorized Surah Al-Mulk because of your lecture. That, at least in terms of the dunya, is what I like about doing this. When someone comes to you and says you changed them in some way, shape, or form, may Allah accept it.
I mean, next question. What one thing have you been naive of for the dawah in the dawah industry? What one thing have you been totally
you ain't
naive?
kid, dog. You're not kidding about this getting heated.
Yeah.
Well, the idea that speakers should actually be compensated. I like, okay, for example, and people get upset when I say that. When we go to events, right? I'm gonna need like a few minutes to deal with this here.
Okay.
When we go to events,
I'll give you 3.
Oh, come on, man. When we go to events and they raise money from us, they're raising, and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, you know, Allah is the one who gives. He is Al-Razaq. At the same time, they invite us to come. And they raise this money off of us. Yet these are the same people that will openly tell you that, brother, you know, you really shouldn't ask for anything. But you're asking for hundreds of thousands
your
of
time,
dollars.
away from your family.
Not only that, they're asking from the people.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, they're asking us for our time and our
they're
effort.
getting something, but they don't want you to get nothing.
Yeah.
But yet they want you to play on the same team.
Yet we're not only play the same. We're supposed to throw the ball the most.
Score the shots.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of organizations have taken care of me over the years. I'm not going to, you know, alhamdulillah. The ones I mentioned were good to me. All the ones I mentioned. The Australian brothers, the IERA, and all the groups that I have mentioned were good to me over the years. But why should my family suffer because I'm doing something that benefits the ummah? Why is that?
You're also helping their kids, but you have kids too, don't you? You got to feed them.
I got 3.
So if they want you to come for a week, a month, whatever,
you got, bro.
You're just supposed to come back and give your kids fi sabilillah.
You know, I got this family, and we talk about them a lot, man. And it's called Bill, and Bill every month sends his little kids to my door asking for money. Phone bill, light bill, rent bill, food bill. You got to buy shoes bill, clothing for school bill, every kind of bill. Bill got all kinds of kids, and they're all at my house. Child support bill. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
So if we're gonna talk, I mean, we're gonna straight shoot it, inshallah, and say that this is the thing. Like, if you want people to actually give you their best time, then you have to take care of them for that. Now, is it necessary to give people $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 per lecture? I guess that depends on the person. I don't do that necessarily. I don't know if that's a good idea. But at least, like, no one should be starving doing this here. And that's why I would tell the young brothers who are coming into this, have something else as a backup. Do something else.
Okay.
Because, honestly, you will starve. If you just depend on the Muslims, you will absolutely starve.
Okay.
Illa bi mashallah.
Okay, next question. Is dawah still relevant in 2018?
Sure. Sure it is.
Okay.
It's the same. You may use different venues for it. You may use the internet and different issues like that, but dawah is always going to be around until the sun rises from the setting place. Dawah's going to be here.
Okay, so here's some golden advice here. What mistakes should one avoid that you have made?
That I have made?
Yes.
Try not to be argumentative. Argumentation is not really dawah because you're getting into the convincing thing. You're scoring points with people. You're going back and forth about their books, and you're going back and forth and arguing. Call them until they say that there's nothing worthy of worship besides Allah. You don't have to go into verses and understanding things and textual analysis. Let the professionals do that stuff.
Okay.
Let the Yusha Evanses and brothers like that deal with the biblical issues. You don't need to necessarily do that so much.
Okay.
Trying to do that.
How do we get through the youth better with dawah, the call to Allah versus modern day methods, rap music, and people pranking each other and all these other things? What do you think of that?
Yeah, the pranks are gonna get someone killed one of these days, man. Like, there's brothers doing all kinds of weird stuff out here. That's not necessarily how we're supposed to be doing things. Mentorship. I think people are trying to. I think the new kind of generation is getting away from the talking head programs, right? Like, they want mentorship. They want, like, the youth. You know, if you want to take 3 brothers and mentor them, and this is your mentor group, and y'all do stuff once a week. You take them bowling, you take them fishing, you take them somewhere, so that they can learn what a man is. Because unfortunately, we have a lot of brothers that don't have dads, and this is kind of your field. So this is one way of dealing with them. A lot of times they have ADD, which is absent dad disorder. You taught me that one. Not the other ADD that we know of. They have absent dad disorder. So the youth, a lot of their issues don't really come from Islam necessarily, because they don't have a problem with Islam, but they've never actually seen it. They've just seen, mom catch hell from her religious quote-unquote husband, and now because of that they dislike Islam, because that's the only version of Islam that's the only version of that practice that they've seen. It's not Islam at all.
Okay, we have 7 minutes left. What's the difference between the Abu Hafsa, the international speaker, and Abu Hafsa, the regular guy?
Oh, man. Abu Hafsa, the regular guy, is really private. I'm extremely private. That's why y'all haven't seen me on social media for a minute. I'm very private. I when I'm on stage, the volume is turned up a little bit, and I'm jacked up a little bit. I'm excited to be there, and I love being around the people. But then when that's off, I just want to be with my family and my kids and my brothers close to me. Yeah, sure. I don't have a lot of people close to me like that. I'm actually very, very private.
Okay.
Like I said, I like what I do. I love it, and may Allah accept it. But I'm not that person that you can just show up on my doorstep unannounced. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. If I let you in the yard, I'm not that guy at all.
Okay. Some people seem like the dawah at their particular organization, it seems that they're promoting it only for their particular ethnic group of people, and they don't care about other people. Have you experienced that in general? Is that fair to say that the dawah is only for their people? That's been common. Quote unquote ethnic background, and not for everybody else?
Well, that's unfortunately been very common. In maybe if it's not even intended. Like if you go to the masjid and all of the entire board is one ethnic group. I mean, it might be coincidental, but it's always good to get people who are looking at things from a different viewpoint than you are.
Absolutely.
From your culture.
Absolutely.
So you get someone, you bring an African brother into your circle if you don't have one, and if your group is all African, bring an Indian brother or bring a white brother, bring a Jamaican brother, bring a sister. A group of sisters should also be on the board to a certain degree. Like, this stuff needs to be taken care of because we see things from different avenues and different viewpoints. Even within Islam, we have that. So why shouldn't we have it in the very messages that we pray at?
Okay.
Because then you get to see things from a different viewpoint. If you don't know reverts, how can you work with them? Like, this is what kind of makes me laugh, right? Is you have a whole group of people that were born Muslims talking to us on a revert panel. No reverts on the panel at all. Or you have a bunch of people who are able-bodied talking about disabled people, and ain't a blind person or a wheelchair to be seen.
Wow.
So it's like this kind of stuff.
Wow. They're not walking and talk.
Yeah, you can't be a doctor, or you can't not be a doctor and tell me about being a doctor. So you can't be a revert, not be a revert and tell me how it is to be a revert because you don't know.
Okay, we're going to try to cram in 3 more questions quick.
These are quick. Wow.
Many people now post the shahadas that they give.
Don't do that, by the way.
But it seems as though they're not showing the retention rate. Like, mashallah, brother Mike, he took shahada.
I don't like doing that. And I'm telling new Muslims, if you're watching this and your shahada video is up, please take it down. And I'll tell you why. Because aynul haq, the evil eye is true. Take it down. Nobody needs to see that. I didn't do a shahada publicly. I don't know not many people know that. I didn't really do a public shahada like that. Because that shahada really is a decision and a covenant not between you and the community, but between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if you're gonna do that, it's better you go into the office, and Muslims, stop parading the people like that. Stop doing that. Stop parading them on platforms where a sister, and this is why I'm saying this, right? A young sister takes shahada on Twitter, and she got her video. I don't know, thousands and thousands of people have seen that video, and brothers are straight up proposing to her, like she's brand new. First of all, which normal man gets at a sister you see on Twitter? Who does stuff like that? Like, who actually does that? I've never.
Thirsty.
Yo, y'all thirsty Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow.
You all days of the week. Thursday, the biggest one. Thirsty.
Okay, Sheikh, this is probably the toughest question here, man. If you could go back in a time machine and talk to the young Abu Hafsa, what would you tell him?
I don't think the young Abu Hafsa will listen to me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Young Abu Hafsa would have gave me a vertical suplex, tell me to go about my business.
Wow.
Young Abu Hafsa was a bit. He wasn't Abu Hafsa anyway. He was Atomic. He was Malik. He was a bunch of Jerome. He was all these different people. So the young Abu Hafsa, I don't know. It would have been like, what would have told him? Run. Run, hide away from cameras. Wow. Become a fireman. Do something. It's hard doing this. It's not easy doing this at all.
No. Last question. What golden advice can you give the youth that want to get involved in dawah?
Always check your intentions. Always, always, always. Don't, and if you think this is easy, you're probably not doing it right. Check your intentions, always, because you can be famous for a minute, You can have a little video where you got 100,000 people or 1,000,000 people, but you're not going to be here forever. And when they lower you, and I don't care if you're 15 years old, 21 years old, or 81 years old, at the end of your life, it's going to be short. So always remember that. We can laugh a little bit and joke a little bit, but you're going to meet Allah one of these days. It might be today, it might be tonight. This may very well be my last video. Allah knows. It might be your last video. So always check your intentions and do things solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not for the famousness, for the people, and to fly to the cool places and meet the cool people. That may happen. But you do it for the sake of Allah. And تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. Worship Allah as if you see Him, and if you don't see Him, know that He sees you. That's actually the easiest of the questions, to be honest.
Abu Hafsa, Jazakallah khairan, brother. Inshallah ta'ala, we might get a chance to interview you again.
I hope so, bro.
Inshallah ta'ala, this is part 1 of interviewing our brother in Islam. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.